back. Tri-State Sports Guys. Top of K Ready Studios. Top 10.
Yeah.
Joe Paterno going out on the bottom.
Couldn't go out us anywhere.
Not even lower than that.
He's a 0.
Yeah.
And I'm happy he's a 0.
Yeah.
So that brought us to our top 10.
Now the top 10 came from Kevin Ireland. He had emailed the inbox. He had said it actually last week talking about Tony La Russa going out on top. But we had already had our top 10 set up. So it actually kind of worked out well. We said, well, you know what? We had the guy go out on top just, very recently. A guy going out as close to the bottom as anyone ever has. So why don't we do a top 10 players or coaches that went out on top? You want to go first or want me to go first?
You go first. Go ahead.
All right, I'll start it off. Number 10, and here's a guy that I put on here, and he was very close to being a guy who went out on the very, very bottom. This is Jerome Bettis. He came back from that terrible fumble where Ben Roethlisberger made that ridiculous tackle.
He's my number 4.
Buses?
Yeah.
So, but then he comes back. I mean, he's a guy that, everybody loved him. Just, great guy, great running back. Goes out on top, gets himself the Super Bowl on his way out the door. Fantastic. He's my number 10. He's number 4. That's good. Number 9, this guy went out on top, but it's kind of for the, not for the best of reasons, but I went with Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax put together a string of 6 seasons that no pitcher's ever done, ever, and I don't know that they'll ever repeat it when you look at the numbers he put up. And he was forced into retirement because of the arthritis. But it almost has kind of added to his lore of this, what could he have been? And we never had to see him at the end of his career as an aging pitcher, as a 500 pitcher or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you never knew. So you only knew, obviously none of us ever saw him play, but you talk to the old timers, they'll say nobody will be better than Sandy Koufax. And so you really couldn't go out. The way he went out, as unfortunate as it was, it kind of added to his lore of what he is, Number 8, I went with Jim Brown. Jim Brown is another...
Number 8? Wow.
Now, Jim Brown is a guy who... Yeah, you're gonna question some of my ones.
He's my number 2.
Jim Brown, so he's still arguably the best running back of all time. People talk about
Absolutely.
him. He left because he wanted to go into acting.
At the age of 29.
Yeah, wanted to go into acting, and he was like an activist and all these things. So who knows? But it's another one. He's one of those guys, similar to a guy that's much higher up on my list, but another running back. But that went out, and you say, man, this guy went out the top of his game. He could have done it for another 5 years. So he was my number 8. Number 7, I went with Ted Williams. Ted Williams had a storied career, and he was old when he went out, but his final season, he's one of the only guys, one of only, I think, 2 or 3 Hall of Famers that had a home run in their final at-bat. Mm-hmm. His final season in 1960, he batted .316 with 29 home runs.
Yeah, I thought about putting him on there.
So he's a guy that went out and said, he didn't, he went out still at the top of his game, and the guy was able to hit .316, and his OPS that year was over 1,000 in his final season. So, he's a guy, you look at that guy's career, I could talk about an hour about, the numbers and how ridiculous his numbers were. But, he's a guy that went out. You never had to watch Ted Williams be old because when he went out, he was still one of the better players. Number 6, I went with Michael Strahan.
God.
It's my 5.
Strahan, always kind of hinted at retirement and holding out and this and that. Got his championship and didn't hang on and left. And was an integral part of that team, part of that great defense. So he was not this aging guy like you see Jason Taylor now, who has become just, a third down pass rusher, still only winds up with 4 or 5 sacks in a season. He went out, he was still an impactful player on his way out the door, got his Super Bowl ring.
That's a good one. I didn't put them, but I think that may be a little high. But
Now, number 5, I don't think you're going to have, you might have, I don't know if you have him. He's a guy that a lot of our listeners, they know him. He's a contributor to the show. He's actually our analyst for horse racing. Jamie Terranova.
I know where this is going.
Now, Jamie Terranova is a guy that O and I played with in college. Now,
Inky, as I like to call him.
well, his nickname was Inky, and he hated it. The guy was a fantastic hitter, crushed the ball, but he didn't really have a position. He struggled out in the field. So he was like...
And on the base paths.
And on the base paths, so he's like Pete Incaviglia, if anybody remembers Pete Incaviglia. So we called him Inky, and he hated it. So after my junior season, it was his senior season, we went and played in Italy. We played in this exhibition tour. We played these professional teams. Jamie Terranova, as you can imagine, is off the boat Italian.
Yeah.
Was loving it over there. So we're in we probably played, I think, 6, 7, 8 games. I don't know. It was our second game there, and we're playing in this nice stadium, and Coaches let the guys who had graduated come with us. He's batting, I think, third or fourth in the lineup. First inning of the game, I'm hitting behind him. He hits a home run, and it was a bomb, right? So it was awesome. His family had come over to watch us play. He crosses home plate, and he just goes, "Coach, I'm done." As we're like crossing paths, he tells the coach, "Coach, I'm done." He didn't play the rest of the tournament because he wanted his last at bat to be a home run in Italy.
Jamie, great job.
Did you know that story?
You told me that before.
He shut himself down, so he just drank red wine out in the crowd the rest of the tournament, dude. That was it for him. Coach, I'm done. He went out with a moonshot
That's a
to
good
left
one.
field.
I don't have that. That's a good
So
one.
it's similar to Teddy Williams. He had to make my list. Number 4, I went with David Robinson. David Robinson had a great career. He's going to go down as, he's one of the top 50 players of the century, one of the best centers of all time. Had a great career. It really got rejuvenated when they drafted Tim Duncan. And he went out with the championship, and in that last game, he actually put up good numbers. It wasn't like he just was a role player. I mean, he went up with 13 points, 17 rebounds in his final game when they won that championship. So you really couldn't have gone off any better than that, in his final game, 17 rebounds, I mean, I think he doesn't get the kind of appreciation he really should for what a great player he was. It's kind of overshadowed because, they always lost to Elijah Wan in those Western Conference playoffs. But, I'm a huge David Robinson fan. Number 3, that's where I put Tony La Russa. And I know you probably don't have him this high up, but, you're going to look back at this generation. He was, in my mind, the greatest coach of this generation. You could have your Joe Torres, your Bobby Coxes, Jimmy Leland's, all those guys. He was the best. The guy did it in both leagues. He did it with different types of teams. He put his stamp on the game, and he went out. He might try to say that he had planned doing this in the middle of the season. I don't believe it.
No way.
I think he said, I won my World Series. I'm going out on top. I think it's fantastic. I hope to God nobody convinces him to come back because it's just a great storybook ending. Number 2 is I put Barry Sanders. Very similar to Jim Brown. To me, Barry Sanders is the best running back I've ever seen.
Yep.
And again, he was one of those guys they say, he had more years left in the tank when he left. But he was just fantastic. He went out, just, wanted to save his body. He's healthy now. And so he's my number 2. And number 1, I went with John Elway. I mean, John Elway was a guy who came into the league with all this fanfare, had a great career, ended it with a Super Bowl MVP. You really can't get any better than that. Walking off the field, holding the ball up in the air. I mean, it's out of the movie. It's out of a Disney movie. His whole career culminating with that. I don't know how you can go off on top any more than Johnny Elway.
Yep.
We've got
Number 10, I have Annika Sorenstam.
Nice.
She retired. She
I'm sorry,
was
did you
second.
just say Annika Storrs?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's an athlete.
Nice.
She was,
There you go.
like the all-time money winner.
Tony loves women's sports.
Look at you.
Hope Solo.
It's my number 8,
Yeah.
by the way.
Number 8.
It's my number 8.
Number 9, I have Tony La Russa.
Okay.
Number 8, I have, now this is a stretch, but I had to put it, the 1998 Michael Jordan, because I don't acknowledge.
I swear
I don't
to you.
acknowledge.
He would have been number 1.
I don't acknowledge
That
any
shot-
Michael Jordan. The shot,
Yeah.
little push over,
yeah.
Little pushover.
Yeah, off Russell.
The guy had bruised ribs.
Yeah, I don't acknowledge the Bullets, Michael
was my
Jordan,
number 4.
the Wizards, whatever they were called. Number 7, Ray Bork, played 22 years, got a Stanley Cup. Number 6, John Wooden, won a title and then retired after 10. I mean, if you're gonna put Tony La Russa, John Wooden.
No, I know you said Ray Borg earlier. That's why I was laughing. Keep going.
I mean,
I know.
hockey is a sport. Number 5, Bill Russell. He was gonna retire, decided to come back, won an 11th title. I was like, you know what, I'm out of here. This is.
Yeah.
I have Bettis 4, Sanders 3, Jim Brown 2, and Elway 1.
So we both have Elway 1.
Yeah.
Tone, who did
Yeah,
you miss?
I had Elway 1. I had La Russa 2. Then I went to like MJ. I had Strahan. But I got a couple honorable mentions. Lennox Lewis, who I
thought about
I
Lennox
couldn't
Lewis.
stand Lennox Lewis
I
because he
thought
just
about
got on my
Lennox
nerves.
Because of his accent.
But he beat for 2 or 3 years with the belt. He beat everybody they put in front of him, and then he just won it.
One of the most underappreciated boxers ever, really.
Yep,
He was
Marciano
almost
too.
too well spoken.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, we like the tough. We want
Yeah.
to see a boxer. We want to be a little thuggish.
and he ran through everybody they put in front of him. I have Marciano on there too. That's old school. I mean,
Yeah.
out of my lifetime. But.
Yeah, but no, that's a great call.
And the
Just,
other honorable mention I had was Robert Smith, running back for the Vikings.
Oh yeah, Vikings. Yeah, he was nasty.
He was real good. He turned 28 years old. He
He led the
retired.
league in rushing the year.
He still is the all-time.
And he does, he's on TV now.
Is he done NFL or college or something like that? I
Yeah, I think he's doing college stuff. He does a lot of college stuff. He's
and
on
he's
a
still the
lot.
all-time leading rusher
I'm
in
sure he
Vikings
missed a
history.
bunch of guys.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys that I thought of. It's funny you guys both had Jordan because I'm like, because that would have been so far and above number 1.
Lance Armstrong,
I thought about him, but then he's fallen because of all these allegations.
never proved.
He's
though.
a cheater.
Never.
Never proved Barry Bonds either. He went out on top. He was nasty as last year.
Barry Bonds?
Barry Bonds.
Yeah. But he's had a downfall.
Bonds has
Him and
slid.
Clemens.
They've slid a little bit, yeah. I'm sure he missed a bunch. Hopefully Cowboys listening. He'll put his 2 cents in. I'm sure we missed somebody. I don't know. Maybe my softball career ending this year.
What'd you do last at bat?
I went big fly.
Nice.
What do you think about that?
My baseball career ended. I hit 2 home runs my last game.
Yeah, the home run.
But my last at bat, I flew out to left field. Truth be told. But I did hit 2 home runs. But my last at bat, I flew out to left. Late on a fastball.
My last play at Newark High, I got sacked pretty hard and I got taken out of the game.
Really?
So that's pretty.
What was that?
Somebody. I started Tommy Casuto's lovely career at Newark High.
We'll be back with the 5 and 10.